Andrea is a little slow on the uptake on this one, and she's also a little confused on the connections between a PAC that is supporting Trump versus Trump himself. And I'll show you.
Donald Trump and his super PAC have posted a banger, folks. Let's watch.
Ron DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. And we're not just talking about pudding. DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements, like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age. Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off our money. Oh, and somebody get this man a spoon.
Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
If you notice too, the splatters that they use by all of the stuff that they're trying to highlight look like shit. They look like shit, literally. And I know this is intentional. They're trying to create this perception that he's fucking gross, which they're not wrong. They're not wrong. It is a disgusting commercial, very effective. And that's the thing with Republicans. They have most of the marketing professionals on their side. Most marketing professionals are Republican. That's a reality. And those of us who are left-leaning don't get the jobs because Democrats believe that they've got their vendor list, and so they're going to these people, rub elbows with each other, and so they think that we already have people who create hashtags like party country over party or something like that, and the other one was people over politics. It's like they have the dumbest ass hashtags and they won't hire anybody new. And there's a whole question of how do you even get on the vendors list, and why do you keep using people who are ineffective, right? Whereas Republicans have a much larger pool of marketing professionals to work with that can create shit like this, which it is. They literally went with the idea of making it look like shit.
Ron.
Yo. Now, this came out a couple days ago. I think this came out the day I started my long weekend, so I'm a little late on this one. But man, oh man, this is like, let's just get the best. Yo, I saw this shit, man. I was high as fuck. So I had a long weekend the other day, and including up until yesterday. And day one of my long weekend, I got mega fucked up. I was, I ingested large amounts of edibles. I saw this shit, and I died. I went to heaven, and I came back just so I could spread the word about how great this fucking... Yo, okay. Now, the more interesting thing on this one is that Donald Trump is talking policy. Like, this is like the first time Donald Trump has spoken about policy.
That's where you're wrong, Andrea. Donald Trump is not talking about policy. The PAC is, and they're not allowed to coordinate. So it's not like this PAC that bought this ad that's, favorable to Trump and attacks Ron DeSantis. They are not related to Trump's campaign. They cannot be. They are not coordinating. That's against FEC law. Like, you can't do that. So this is a PAC that supports him, but they cannot coordinate with him. And so they're highlighting what they believe he stands for. We don't know that he's actually going to do the things that he says he wants to do, which he's dropped this in a couple of speeches. But we don't know that he's actually going to get it done, because he made a lot of campaign promises the first time around and didn't get a lot of it done. So here we go.
See, in his campaign, right? So not only is it hilarious in every aspect, but it's policy-wise, it's a little poignant. Let's watch it again. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's 30 seconds. This is like a great song. You just get to watch it on loop. Let's watch it again.
Ron DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. And we're not just talking...
The sounds.
And we're belong. And
the sounds. Can you hear this? Listen, just open your...
They should have had, like, slurping noises when he was sucking his fingers.
ears.
Where they don't belong.
Oh, why is that? That's not what it sounds like. That's not what pudding sounds like.
Don't belong. And we're not just talking about pudding. DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements. Like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age.
God.
Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off our money. Oh, and get this man a spoon.
Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Let's watch
Ron
it again.
DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. We're not just
down.
talking about pudding.
You know, the way we got like a doily, like, okay, so we like this, the scene, look at the scene. We got this fancy ass, like, fucking 16th century chair and table with, like, a fucking doily that looks like it's out of the fucking Queen's Castle in 1716 with a fucking pudding cup. I can't with this scene. And the way this guy sits down, like, look at the way this guy sits down, like, he, like...
I'm trying to figure out the entire scenario, too. Like, how did he get a pudding without a spoon? If, like, in any arena, if it was a plane, if it was a convention, whatever it was, how did he get a pudding without a spoon? That seems really weird to me that a spoon wasn't available and that he actually fucking did this, you know? This is like something your aging grandparent does. This is like fucking or a child.
Like, the way he sits down is like, you know the term man-spreading? Has anyone heard this term? I think it's really funny. And also, I don't mind if a man spreads. Let me get a good view. With all that in mind, look at this man-spreading motherfucker.
His fingers where they don't.
Okay, all right, from the top.
Ron DeSantis loves sticking his fingers where they don't belong. And
In regards to man spreading, when I was at Hollywood High, one of the classes I took was I had to take 4 different drama teachers during the year. Like, they were each like a quarter of the semester, like a quarter. So there were 4, right? And one of them analyzed the way we were sitting. She had us all sit down and tell us what was appropriate sitting, and talked about, she didn't call it man spreading, but she talked about what the appropriate distance was to keep your legs apart so that you didn't come across as like too aggressive. And yeah, the further the wider your legs are, the more it's like a dominant, aggressive move. And so you're supposed to keep them like shoulders apart. You keep them at like shoulder apart. For the women, we're supposed to tuck our legs in like crossed and off to the side. So that was like the appropriate sitting position for women. And this was more about like stage presence or, you know, being interviewed or whatnot. It was etiquette. She was actually like working on etiquette with us.
we're not just talking about pudding. DeSantis has his dirty fingers all over senior entitlements. Like cutting Medicare, slashing Social Security, even raising our retirement age. Tell Ron DeSantis to keep his pudding fingers off.
It's like a monkey throwing poo. It's like a monkey throwing poo on the screen. This is so funny.
Off our money. Oh, and get this man a spoon.
Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Ron DeSantis.
I can't even, Andrea.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. I mean, this shit speaks for itself. I really don't need to provide any additional commentary.
No.
I mean, Max, what do you have to say? I don't know if you can see this, but he's... Max, what are you doing?
Max is happy.
Max is like, you gotta fucking finish the show. I gotta go pee.
Ha.
Look at this guy. You see this guy? Max, you gotta go pee?
Max wants to be watched.
Alright. Well, anyway, man, I'm going to enjoy this Republican primary. If this is the level of, the level we're getting to this early, I am all in. So, shout outs to...
Oh, I hit something. My bad. The thing is, Andrea, I mean, I worked for a PAC, and basically you cannot coordinate with the actual campaign. So when I was walking in LA, for Unite Here Local 11, I was walking for their PAC, right? And their PAC was the arm that represented the union members who voted to endorse certain candidates. So, for example, one of the main candidates we were trying to get in was Hugo Soto Martinez, who did. We got him into city council in LA, which is a pretty big deal. But we could not coordinate with them at all. They couldn't come anywhere near us while we were doing what we were doing. And yes, we did have a flyer against his competitor in that race, who was the incumbent. It was Mitch O'Farrell. And we were doing our own operation of talking to the voters in that district about why it was so important to vote him out and have new leadership by electing Hugo Soto Martinez. But we did not coordinate with his campaign at all. In fact, we had one dude show up to our launch one morning who was a volunteer. He wanted to volunteer for the campaign directly. And our field director flipped the fuck out and said, "You cannot be here. You cannot be here. We are not coordinating with that campaign. I don't know where they're supposed to be launching today, but it's not here. You cannot be here." So that is how it works. And I'm sure that the Republicans are also trying to keep this separate so that they don't get dinged. But you're going to see PACs like that. Like, for instance, if you go back to, I know you're a lot younger than me, but if you go back to 2004, the Swift voters was so impactful that they have a Wikipedia entry right now that they have, it's now like a term that if you hit somebody really hard with a hit campaign, they call it Swift boating. They've Swift boated you. That campaign was so successful in trying to tear down John Kerry's military record and dispute his Purple Hearts that he earned. And it was so successful. So many people bought that bullshit just because they wanted to vote Republican in the first place. And for the swing voters, they're like, oh, he lied about his military record? He did not, by the way, and that's shameful. When you consider that George Bush didn't do any service, he didn't do any real service. And John Kerry actually went to Vietnam twice for 2 tours. And that's what a real hit campaign looks like. That's why it's got a Wikipedia entry. You should totally check that out.